Hey, Teresa.
No, this is Ken.
Oh,
How you
hi,
doing?
Ken.
Hi, Ken. How are you?
Good, Teresa. How you doing?
I'm doing great. Doing great.
Good.
It sounds like you've been in the car all day long, bouncing from meetings, I guess.
Yep. If it's not something, it's something else.
Right.
So are we
Well,
live today, or does this record and then it goes out later?
we are live,
Okay.
and we have people joining right now. So we're going to give it about 3 minutes before we get
Okay.
started.
Okay.
So, Teresa, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Because for a long while, it was like I wasn't really in.
You're here. We hear you. We
Okay.
see you.
Good to see you, Ken.
Good to see you, Carl. How you been doing?
Doing good. Hanging in there.
Well, good. So how long do you think we're gonna go?
We typically go 25 minutes to 30. Yeah.
Okay.
We'll let you talk for a while, and then we'll follow up with any questions if we have them.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, if it goes much longer than that, Ken, people start falling off because they got things
Yeah.
to do.
I hear you there.
And we still have people jumping on, so we'll give it another 2 minutes or so
Okay.
before we get started.
So are we the only three that are unmuted?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
So is anybody getting rain right now? It looks like the sky is about to fall out here in Houston. So anybody else?
I've driven through a little bit of rain here.
Mhm.
We've had a few sprinkles here in Kemah. But we're lucky that it didn't hit us, the storm.
Very lucky. Yes.
At this time of year, I'm always good for a little rain. When you've got cows to feed, you want rain to grow grass.
That's a fact.
Yep.
Well, it's 2 o'clock, and we know people have places to be, so I think we'll go ahead and get started. I struggled with how to begin this because I think all of our hearts are heavy right now with George Floyd being buried close to us in our community. I think this is a time for a lot of self-reflection, and we are heavy-hearted with emotions right now. And so we just want to send prayers out to Mr. Floyd's family, and just hope that his death wasn't in vain, and that we see changes for good. But with that, we thank everybody for being with us today. Just a reminder that this is a weekly, I'm sorry, I'm a little bit emotional. This is BayTran's weekly webinar. We've reached out around our region, which is Brazoria, Harris, and Galveston counties. We've reached out to the mayors of the cities to find out how our cities are coping and recovering from COVID. Now that we're in phase 3, I think this is a kind of new area for us. I mean, this whole experience has been, and we'll see how businesses are coming back. Is it enough to help the economies in the hardest hit cities? And how does infrastructure play into that? We know projects are still moving forward, and it's critical that we're able to get back on our feet as soon as possible. And so just want to introduce Chairman Carl Joyner, who's here, and our special guest this week is Galveston County Precinct 4 Commissioner Ken Clark. If you want to say some things, Carl, before
Yeah,
we
I'll get us started off. Ken, thanks you so much for being with us today. And I know people are anxious to see how the pandemic has hit Galveston County. I noticed in the paper this morning that we're just very close to going over 1,000 people in Galveston County. And I wonder how that affects us, because I know some of the things that the governor has said you can do if you're below 1,000. I wonder if you go over 1,000, if that affects those things. But also just to see how it has affected our economy, et cetera, in Galveston County. So Ken, we appreciate it, and it's all yours.
Thank you, Carl and Teresa. I appreciate you giving me the opportunity to visit not only with you all, but the members of the BayTran family. And this has been some trying times for us, at least since the end of February, navigating this new environment of, social distancing, and the COVID-19 situation has led to many challenges. One of those being unemployment, along with just a number of people not being able to work, and are those businesses going to be able to come back and recapture the vigor and the energy they had before the COVID-19. I would like to briefly share just a few things about COVID-19 that we've been going through in Galveston County. Since day one, we've been an example of how to ramp up testing. Through partnerships with UTMB and the Galveston County Health District and others, the county has been able to test about 10% of our population, performing over 34,000 tests. So keep that number in mind, the 34,000. We are the leader in the state and the country when it comes to response to COVID-19 testing. We've been very aggressive in trying to get that testing going. As of June 7th, we've had 994 confirmed cases for COVID-19. Of those 994, only 454 of those are still active cases, with over 502 of those cases having recovered. And unfortunately, we've had 38 deaths in the county. And of those 38 deaths, 32 of the 38 have been affiliated with a long-term care facility. And currently, right now, we have 24 people who are currently hospitalized with COVID-19. Galveston County has been one of the most transparent local governments when it comes to reporting COVID-19 cases data. The Galveston County dashboard has been lauded by reporters around the state for the amount of data shared and the ease of accessibility. I felt early on it was important that we put the information out there so people can make a good decision based on the data that's coming forward. And it was important we got that dashboard up and got it running. And that can be viewed at www.galvestoncountytx.gov or visit Galveston County's social media page. Unlike what we saw in other counties, Galveston County's cities have been united in responding to the COVID-19 pandemic. And the county judge's office has held weekly calls with mayors around the county to get input and share information. This has led to mayors signing off on broad actions that were taken in late March and early April. Unprecedented coordination between the county and the jurisdictions within the county. Galveston County OEM held daily calls with local emergency managers from each community in the county to discuss COVID-19 response. The county never closed and kept operations open, but took extra precautions were taken to protect both employees and customers entering the county facilities alike. This is a step, and these steps are ongoing. Partitions installed so to protect county employees and customers that interact with the public, and they were completed early on in the pandemic, and the Galveston County Facilities Department has put down social distancing markers on the floors, along with nightly disinfecting of cleaning crews. We're also fogging each county facility with cleaning agents at least once a week. We provided hand sanitizers, have been installed across the county to promote good hygiene. In Galveston County, employees have been provided PPE. Right now, the entire state is under the order of Governor Abbott, and we are following the Open Texas guidelines. The county continues to work closely with the Galveston County Health District to coordinate response and assist the health professionals where needed. The Galveston County Office of Emergency Management has been increasing additional stocks of PPE for hurricane season in the event that it is needed for shelters or evacuation. If you don't already follow Galveston County on social media, our Facebook is at Galveston County TX. Our Twitter handle is at GALVCOTX. And the emergency management Twitter page is at Galveston County OEM. During these times of crisis, we need to be able to communicate with the public and get information out quickly. Traditional TV and newsprint has proven ineffective in communicating factual, informative information to the public. This is why the county has grown its social media presence to over 45,000 strong on Facebook, 10,000 on the OEM Twitter account. Main Galveston County Twitter account has over 5,000 followers. Data shows that public interactions with videos managing more than other types of messaging, so we have made a conscious effort to incorporate more video more often. Encourage everybody to visit www.galvconews.com for county releases and information. All the county's videos are shared there, and the www.gcoem.org has undergone a remodel and is a go-to website for emergency preparedness and disaster information. In all, Galveston County has been faring decently, but the fight isn't over. We will continue to partner with UNTMB on mass testing. We are looking at future options of antibody testing. Antibody testing will have told a person if they've had the test prior. I believe that's within the last 6 to 9 months, and continue ongoing preparations that come with hurricane season, but doing so with COVID-19 in mind. One thing I'd like to go back to is on the social media is that you may recall, Carl and Teresa, that I talked about how the county never closed and that we've remained open. We've had a very robust business from other outlying counties who have closed for marriage licenses in divorce filings. Galveston County at the Leak City Annex, which is at 174 Calder Road, not only are we doing a robust business with marriage license, which can be gotten there today, and I believe those hours are from 8:30 to 3:30. That would allow somebody from any county to come get a marriage license to be able to get married. Also from that facility, we are also have a district clerk's office, and we are taking applications for passports, and we're also doing divorce orders as well there, divorce papers. So it's just a good opportunity for folks to come in from Harris County or Fort Bend County where those services may not be open at this point. A couple of weeks ago when we initially checked, Carl, we had Harris County was doing marriage licenses, but it was on appointment only. And about 3 weeks ago, that first available appointment was sometime in the middle of July. So we've had a fairly robust business in marriage licenses from outlying counties. The business has been so robust that we've opted to advertise on Facebook and do some paid advertising to let people know, at least in the nearby area codes, if they want to transact business, Galveston County is open. So that's kind of my update on COVID-19.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know if you wanted me to talk about specific projects or you wanted to preface anything beforehand.
Sure. Well, going back to Galveston County and the impacts from COVID-19, Have there been, we've heard from all spectrums as we've talked to the cities about how they've been impacted economically. Have there been certain hotspots within the county that had a greater economic hit through the closures, or are you aware of anybody that is particularly hurting right now in terms of the city budgets?
I would think that based on us rolling into phase 3 here, that we will really start to begin to see the impact, because the real challenge is, you know, can a restaurant make enough money to be open 5% or if even 50%? What does that number look like? Those business models are based on that individual business. And what other businesses are going to remain closed because they just don't have the financial wherewithal to, how can we say, reopen or things of that nature. Then you've got the movie theaters who, you know, what does that look like? At what point can they open up? I mean, that's those are some challenging items that we're going to have to address. So hopefully, as the weeks continue to progress, we'll get some idea of where we actually stand and which businesses are going to hopefully be able to re-energize, and those who, you know, are going to have to figure something else out.
Well, Carl, you've been watching a lot of the economic situations in the area around Kemah, Seabrook. Do you have anything to add to that? Or?
Well, I would think that maybe Kemah and Galveston, the city of Galveston, might be the two worst cities hit because of the entertainment industry. And I know having the boardwalk closed for months was a hit for us. And I know with having no ship business and that type of business in Galveston, they've had to be really hurt from that. And a lot of that's more on the sales tax side, but the county, I guess, most of the funds for the county come through taxes, right, Ken?
That's correct. We get almost 33% of our tax revenue from the petrochemical industry. But we get you know, the balance of that would come from, you know, other property taxes as well. And unfortunately, the property value hit to people across the county is staggering, of how much values have gone up. And I don't see, if there isn't some sort of relief, how people are going to continue to be able to pay their taxes. I mean, you know, I've heard people, their taxes have gone up their value has gone up 400%, 250%, 125%. I mean, how do you for that? Well, one of the things that Galveston County is doing to adjust to that is we've asked our budget director to look at our FY 2020 budget to see what we can do to cut expenses in this budget cycle. So we're rolling next budget cycle maybe a little leaner, to where we're not in need of as much tax revenue to be able to support the operation that the people of Galveston County have come to expect. You know, we're still proud of the fact that we've cut taxes the last 9 years in a row below the effective rate, which means no new revenue. And we've cut that tax rate by almost 19%. So with that being said, we're very judicious in how we spend the taxpayer dollar, but we've got to be able to do all we can to try to minimize the impact on the taxpayers, because, you know, that's not Galveston County money, that's taxpayer money. And, you know, that's an issue I take very seriously. So, you know, the property tax issue is something that we're going to have to grapple with and figure out how we're going to address that. And like Carl had mentioned, for the city of Kemah and the city of Galveston, along with all the other number of the other municipalities, their sales tax revenue has gone through the floor. So it's gonna take some figuring out how we adjust to that new normal, and how do we fit that into the business plan to keep everything moving.
So, Ken, the bond projects that were passed now a couple of years ago, I guess, will they continue to keep going, or does this in any way affect those?
Well, that's a good question. I'm glad you asked that. And just for everybody's remembrance, that bond issue was in November of 2017. We had 3 proposals on it. One was for drainage, one was for roads, and one was for facilities. I think the road facilities, the road projects are moving along. They're in various stages of design and or construction. Those will continue to move forward. The drainage is moving forward as well. The facilities, which had 4 components of it, when we initially did the bond issue, we had an idea of what we wanted to do, or thought what we could do. But actually, after the bond issue, we got into it and realized that some of these buildings and structures were in a more of a deteriorated state than we had thought they were. So we almost kind of changed course a little bit and looked at, well, what happens if we go with new, and do it that way. So we've done that. We're still analyzing that. I think what's going to happen is we may move forward on 2 of the projects, one being our road and bridge facility, and then the other one being the medical examiner facility. Part of the medical examiner, the bulk of that is going to be paid from federal dollars from Hurricane Ike. So we'll move forward on that, and then the road and bridge. And in the same time, we'll re-look at the other 2 projects to see how we might be able to value engineer those and get those projects done. Because when we originally asked the taxpayers to approve $18 million for those 4 facilities, the cost of those facilities would have fit in that margin. Well, that particular budget is ballooned to $23 million, so we've got to relook at that and see how we're gonna tackle that. But long term, I think those projects need to be done.
Commissioner, as we've talked to the various mayors throughout the region, one of the common things that we've talked about has been partnerships. And you know, the Pelican Island Bridge project was on the line for a while, and we were concerned about that. But it looks like it's moving forward. It's in the tip, the draft tip, for I think 17 million. Who are the partners in this, and how did that project get revived again and start moving forward?
Well, that's a great question. I'm glad you asked. The original partners were the city of Galveston, the county of Galveston, and the navigation district. The navigation district is the owner of the current bridge. That current bridge was built in 1958 and has lived past its useful life. TxDOT has spent millions of dollars shoring that bridge up over the last 10 years to make sure it's a viable transportation route. So after we went through the 30% schematic design, we realized that we didn't have enough money based on the monies that were allotted. So we reached out to TxDOT along with A&M and the Port of Houston to see if we could come up with some with some ways to re-energize the program and figure out how we get that project delivered in a cost-effective and efficient manner. I would also like to thank Representative Mays Middleton, who's been active in that process. And I'd also like to thank not only Senator Taylor, but his office as well, who have been participating in those discussions as well. So when we came to the point in the legislative session where A&M had gotten a rider to the transportation budget added that says that, you know, the road cannot go through the existing alignment without the legislative budget board's approval, that basically told us option one was off the table, because with the road going bisecting the A&M campus, it just put us in a precarious position because those chemical trucks could potentially be a future issue moving forward. So we kind of looked at option 4 a little bit, and we brought TxDOT in to see what they could do to help. And when TxDOT came in at all that had been done, and what we did is we tried to tweak down the options, if you will, and get our construction estimates a little more fine-tuned, so we would need to find out what needed to be done and where we actually were. Because option 4, the last time we looked at it, was about 105 million. But before that, I want to say it was like 89 million or 96 million. So the price has gone up, but that's because construction costs have been going up. So when TxDOT came in, TxDOT agreed to do the engineering and some of the ancillary work that they're able to do with state and federal funding. So they've looked at the construction. We straightened out the bridge a little bit, you know, made it look a little, how can you say, a little cleaner to where it just flowed better. And come to find out that we're no longer at 105 million, we're at 115 million. So at 115 million, the funding partners have to come up with some additional funding. That would be either the navigation district, the city of Galveston, the county of Galveston, A&M, and or the Port of Houston. I think the Port of Houston is amenable to look at some form of funding for this project, but that is yet to be determined. A&M, who has been a partner with us since basically the beginning of this, has come up with a way that they cannot participate in the road construction, but one thing they can participate in is hike and bike trails. And being that they've got a number of students that ride bikes, that a pedestrian / bike trail over the bridge seems to make a lot of sense, not only for A&M, but you know, tourism moving forward on Pelican Island in the future. Not that that's going to be a large tourist attraction there, because we'd really like to develop that for more primary jobs, shipping and in light industry and things of that nature. So they are, A&M is in discussions with the A&M system to see what type of funding will become available on all that. So that has not been determined yet. Hopefully we'll get some direction on that moving forward in the next couple of weeks. But that would also require Galveston County and the city of Galveston and or the navigation district putting in more money. And there's been some discussions in that regard. The challenge that we run into is that with COVID-19 and the city of Galveston's sales tax being down by almost 30%, it's going to be a challenge for the city of Galveston to find.
Commissioner? Commissioner, I think, I hope we haven't lost you. We see you. Commissioner, did we lose you? Commissioner, if you can maybe stop your video and go to audio only, I think we might still be able to hear you.
Not sure. Whoops, he's off now.
Okay, we apologize for that. We'll have to follow up with the commissioner and see where that ends up. I think he was getting to a good part. But we do thank you all for joining us today. And I do want to recognize today's webinar sponsor, the Goodman Corporation. Thank you so much for your support. And we do have County Judge Matt Sebesta coming up next Monday at 2. So we hope you'll come back for that. And to wrap up, Carl, do you have any comments?
Well, yeah, appreciate everyone getting on these webinars, and I hope that you find them intriguing and interesting, and that you get something out of them. I think we're going to continue this because they seem to be pretty popular. And anyway, sorry we had a little mess up with Ken today, but thank you all for joining us, and we look forward to hearing from you next week.
Thank you all. See you next week.
We are adjourned.